can smile because it's recording us as we're doing it.
It says at the top of my link, live on Facebook.
Wow.
Yay. Oh, and this thing comes down. All right, now you can tell I'm in a van.
Yep, there we are. We're live.
Yay. Aloha. Welcome, everybody who's watching. I am Dasha, and this is Nina, and these are together Intuitive Wednesdays.
Well, it's Intuitive Transmission Wednesdays.
Intuitive Transmission Wednesdays.
Mouthful, huh?
Who made up such a long word? Wednesdays. And today we're going to talk about sex, baby. We're going to talk about you and me.
We're going to talk about all the good things and the bad things that make sex, baby.
Because it could lead us to be free.
Yes, yes, yes. So thinking of being free, it's important that we set a sacred container for all that is going to be shared today, because sex in our society is actually a very huge wound. And unfortunately, we are living in a place where every 92 seconds an American is sexually assaulted. That doesn't even talk about the world. And every 9 minutes, the victim is a child. 1 of every 6 American women has been a victim of an attempted or completed rape. These horrific crimes plague us as a people, as a world. And so we're honoring all of that and also bringing in the sacredness of what sex is and what it can do. So what is sex? Sex is a mechanical function of our sacral chakra, our womb chakra. And as everyone knows, sex does create, it creates life. And so it is very beautiful. When I was going through my pregnancy process, I was very much seeing it in a new light, because I was now bringing in a new being through the act of sex. And so I realized it from the other spectrum of it being sacred. And that's what we want to bring in, even with not creating a baby, how it can be used as a tool for creativity, and how it is something that does need time to heal for a lot of us, because a lot of us do have wounds. And so just honoring that it does take time. And I'm so lucky and so thankful to have Dasha here, who has really stepped in and done the work to heal many, many aspects of her life, and sex included. And so here we are in reverence to the act of sex and its creation properties, and would like to go deeper into it. And if you'd like to join us on our Zoom, you're more than welcome. The link is there. You can ask us any questions, or you can join us on Facebook. It's all good. We're happy to be here. And so, Dasha, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes. So sex growing up was always such a taboo topic. So my mom essentially didn't believe in sex before marriage, and she, in a sense, tried to prevent my sister and I from making mistakes, because in her mind, having sexual intercourse with somebody meant that no one is ever going to marry us, because we were already damaged goods. So growing up with that idea in my mind, I rebelled. Of course, I had sex before marriage, but then that idea, even though I thought I worked through it, kind of stayed in my head as kind of a dirty thing. And I remember growing up, like when somebody would ask me for a blowjob, I would just feel so dirty about it. And I always thought sexuality, it was a thing that some people did to make them feel better. Mm-hmm. I never thought that it was actually a connection to the self and a pathway essentially to letting go, to surrender, to release, to union to connection to source, to connection to the self, to being more comfortable with the body. Like, I didn't know any of these things growing up because it was so suppressed in my family, and nobody talked about it because it was always so taboo. It was like a no, one of these topics we don't talk about. Sex, no. Drugs, no. So I had to kind of learn this stuff on my own, and maybe some of the people watching this can resonate with this, that we kind of have to learn this process on our own to get to what sex really is after all of that, excuse my language, but brainwashing of what other people think it is, because it's so, in majority of people, families, it's so taboo and unwelcome to talk about. Nina, can you relate? Did you have like family that didn't want to talk about this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I remember when I first got my period at the age of 10, and my mom's like, well, you're not having sex anymore. And I think she didn't mean anymore, but she said it. And I was like, wait, what does that mean? Like, should I have had sex before? Like, I mean, of course, this is a child, like kind of thinking like, what does this mean? Like, how is that related to my period? Like, I didn't know. And I went to a Catholic school, so we did have sex education, and it was very convoluted because then the next thing was, okay, yes, sex, but then STDs. And then there was no understanding of, like, besides the actual mechanics of the anatomy, and that was just all that was left, and the rest was when you're married. And you know, of course, we live in such a sexually inundated society in terms of advertising, so it's everywhere. And so on the schoolyard, all the kids were talking about it. You know, as you mentioned, they were talking about blowjobs, they were talking about having sex. Like, these are like 11, 12-year olds, and this is in the 90s. And this is before the internet. And, you know, although the adults didn't want to talk about it, all the kids wanted to talk about it. They were like, okay, like, this is the subject. Anything taboo, leave it to the kids. They will want to hear about it. And so with all of this, you know, talk about how it was like a hush hush kind of situation, it ended up creating a lot of dangerous situations. So I think it's really important to talk about the purpose of sex, and why it's so important. And I love how you brought it back to the self, why it's actually very valuable to be connected to the self when engaging in sex, because there are a lot of different avenues it can go. So
yeah, I think sex is the last step of self-love. In a way, I see the process of transformation, the self-love aspect of everything, as a personal journey, where you go through the forgiveness, the compassion, the loving your inner child. And at the end, when you are comfortable with your body, with yourself, you join in holy matrimony, as I call it, somebody else who's also gone the path of transformation and is also going through it together. And when you're both going through the path of transformation, seeking truth, asking questions about what life is, finding ways to have more joy, and you join together with a partner like that, and you have sexual relations with somebody conscious like that, then it becomes a tool of transformation rather than a tool of energy release. Because sex, for many, as they come from work and they are just energetically drained from work and they want this quick pick me up, then they quickly have sex for like 5-10 minutes, and that's just an energetic release. Whether it is women and men, you know, we both do it when we're stressed out and all we want to do is release. Then what we do is just dump that energy to have a quick release without actually digesting, like, why did we feel bad today? Like, what happened? How can we get through it? And then we kind of hide what happened throughout the day under the rug, and we kind of cover it up with the beautiful umbrella of sex, of this energetic release. But sex is so much more than that. And a woman's body takes about 20 to 30 minutes to really relax, because we're all in our head. And sex starts with, we're talking to your partner about how to consciously help you as the woman relax with your thoughts and be in the body, because sex, 99% of it is up here for women. because we are in our head all the time. We're so emotional that we can't stop thinking. At least me. I don't know if there's some women out there that can stop thinking, but I really need time to just let go of the thoughts and just like allow and surrender for the moment to take place, for the pleasure, for the unity, for the joint breath. So it really takes time. So it's like if you're having sex with a partner and it's like 10, 20 minutes, that's not enough time to let go, to step into the body. This is why my partner now calls this idea of being with a woman is like playing an instrument, a musical instrument. That's how he refers to it. Because he's like finding points in the body that are sensitive and it's like relax. And that is what holy sexual, sensual experience is all about, is allowing for each one of the individuals, whoever is more tense, to be able to relax into it.
Yes, I love that. And, you know, our body is an instrument. I mean, our body is a skin suit and there's many different functions to it. And as it relates to the sexual function, there is a lot of different exercises that can be done that is known throughout time. There's the Vedic practices and Tantra, a lot of different ways to really enliven that, a lot of strategies for the actual union of the couple. And I love that you say that it does take time to prepare.
Yeah.
Breath work is really important. And, you know, really being aligned with your partner, because, you know, we create our reality with our thoughts. So if we are engaged in a very sacred act and we're thinking about what went wrong that day, or we're just trying to release without having intention, that goes into the energy for the whole collective, because the actual creation of sex is a very powerful tool for transformation.
Yes.
And so when we're thinking, I am engaged with someone I value, someone I love, that then turns into energy where the whole collective can feel that love, can feel that validation. And so it's really important as conscious people of the world to think about when we're engaging it in a way that is pure of thought. And it's not only good for us and our partners, but it's also good for all of us. So why not?
Yes. Yes. What I noticed is that my thoughts literally create the experience even while having sex. That is the reality, what you just said. And when I let go of the thoughts of the things that have been going on, or thinking, oh, is my partner liking this? When I let go of thinking of anybody else, and I just think about myself and my own relaxation, and I start to enjoy it myself by releasing, by letting go, and I feel good from here. Myself, the partner can feel it.
Yes.
It's like I am projecting my own feeling good, surrendering, and the same thing is happening within the partner because we're conscious about the process. So it's like I'm conscious about making myself feel good, and the result, the partner feels good, and the whole experience becomes a transformational experience for the both of us, which we can talk about afterwards. Like last night, I literally went on a psychedelic journey after the experience. And I was out
without psychedelics, right?
Yes, I've done psychedelics and I know the experience. And sexual experience, you can tap into the same frequency and you are out on a journey afterwards of complete, like wherever you need to see, wherever you need to be, full body. Some people refer to this as full body orgasm. And it's possible to do through sex. Because it's like one avenue. We got so many different tools we can use, you know, meditation, mirror work, breath work, psychedelics, playing different instruments, having sex. All of these are transformational tools to bring us closer to who we really are. And it's like, I feel like it's important for us as women, and as well as many men, to take back our power and speak about this, to talk to our friends, to be able to release that trauma, because that trauma is a collective trauma that's sitting inside of our body, because everybody's energy is inside of our bodies. We've got the whole world in there. And by releasing the shame to talk about it, let's say if you're feeling unsatisfied, or if you're feeling any kind of feelings that don't make you enjoy the experience of having sex with your partner, I mean, that's something you can talk about with others and see how you can tap into having a better experience, because all of this stuff is from the past and it's all collective. And I hope that some of these words inspire you to speak up, because every one of us is a collective womb healer. And when we speak out about these things, we discover things from the past that are holding us back from having that experience that we want. And letting go of the shame of talking to our partner about our needs. Because we've throughout centuries have been shameful, bashed, ashamed to talk about this. But it's so important to speak up and say, you know, baby, I really need like 30 minutes. Can you please kiss my body? Can you please like help me relax? Can we just lay here and listen to some music, or can we do some eye gazing before, so I can just relax and let go of what happened to me today? I mean, my boss, he was really mean or whatever. Like help me with this. Ask for help. I mean, I know that most people will resonate when you ask for help. You'll receive the help. I just, you know,
to like really think about it as like in a childlike curiosity with your partner, because it's really important when you are engaging with one another that this is like a sacred, safe place for both of you. And in all, like, you know, if everyone is having a great sex life, then we have a really happy society. Like, let's be real honest. And so, you know, I know that there's a lot of maybe porn addiction in our world, and people are working through going, you know, releasing that energy. You know, I understand it, because, like, you know, I've been with partners and have had to deal with different experiences of that nature. But, you know, when you take on sex as part of your healing practice, as part of, you know, that thing that no longer has a shame, blame, guilt, or judgment, and just use it as a playground, as something that you can start and make it simple. And I love the massages is like a good way to start. You know, hey, getting a ryobi and you know, massaging your partner and getting them relaxed. Like, you know, maybe like asking like, hey, like, so how was your day? What's your intention for our time right now? What would you like to release? Because sex is a great transmuter. So if you're wanting to release that anger from your boss, you know, it's a great time to just be like, okay, like, I no longer want to think about it. And through this act, I want to release it from my system. Because everything that goes through us needs to be digested, and it can be digested in different ways. It can be digested through our bowel movements. It can be digested through a amazing, engaging, orgasmic experience. Many different ways that things can be digested. This is a great tool for that. And when you and your partner get on the same page, it can create a lot of good for both of you and for the collective.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, exactly. I've started to see that everything that we do, all of the tools that we use are essentially for the same thing, is to find that state of peace.
Oh, we have some people in our chat. We have Masha, we have Anise, and we have Wendell. So Masha, Anise, or Wendell, if you guys would like to chat, feel free to raise your hand, and I can allow you to talk if you guys have anything to say. We're more than happy to hear from you.
Yeah. I just like to make a confession while people are joining. I had a porn addiction until I realized that what happens when I watch porn, because all I wanted to do was release, was that there were a lot of energies. Now that I'm conscious, I realized that there are a lot of energies that surround my body as I'm watching this porn, because it wasn't sacred porn. It wasn't something that taught me. It was just like gangbangs. That's what I liked. And I realized that there was a lot of energy, and I was susceptible to other energy, especially when I was in that vulnerable place of release.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized that what I'm doing is I'm letting a lot of different spirits in and out of my body as a result of watching this. So I've stopped a few months ago, and I've learned how to harness my own energy, and I feel the difference. I really do.
That's good. Yeah. And you know, the whole porn industry is part of the propaganda that is what is keeping us from our sacred sexuality. It is the matrix. It is the matrix infusing into our day-to-day life and keeping us from using this powerful tool of transformation.
I know. I realized that even coming, you let go of your source power. So if you can find a way to channel that energy before you come, to go up the body instead of out of the body, I feel like it's the energy of creation. It gives you more power to create things, to create business, to collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
I
Cool.
think another person joined us. I don't know how to.
Marissa joined us. So we have a really great army of people here, which is really great. This is such an important topic because right now we're bringing to light what is not working, and what is not working is domination, control. The porn industry is not working. Human trafficking isn't working. Making sex and forcing it upon the vulnerable, the young, and the women is not working. But what is working is sacred sexuality. And so this is what we're wanting to bring into the consciousness. This is what is a great tool for transformation. And if anyone wants to ask any questions, feel free to raise your hand. You're all welcome.
Is anybody else in video, or they're all just on the phone?
I see Wendell in video, and I see Masha.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Well, so Dasha, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When did you start really waking up to, I guess, being more aware about your sexuality?
Wow.
From a conscious perspective.
I think it all kind of started a couple years ago when I started on my transformation journey, which I talk about in the book, The Girl with the Buddha Tattoo, on Amazon. When I started my transformation journey using psychedelics, meditation, breath work, is when I became more aware of who I am, because I started asking questions. And that's what led me now to understanding that ultimately every tool that I've used so far to learn who I am is to help me come to the state of peace.
Mm-hmm.
So it all started really with drinking ayahuasca to heal over 20 years of abuse 4 years ago at Indian Canyon, which my beautiful sister Masha bought me as a birthday gift. Thank you so much for taking me to ayahuasca. It changed my life, and I don't think I would have done it without you. Thank you.
That's so amazing. You know, when I first started on my spiritual journey, a few of the few things that we worked on in group work, and it was with women, was first the root chakra, healing the root chakra, which is really about security. And the next thing that we worked on was the womb chakra. And shortly after, I became pregnant. And it was really interesting because my view of sex and women and the world really changed when I had my first child. And I think it's because I really began to understand the whole essence of it all from the creation perspective. But then I also saw how even if you're not pregnant, even if you're single, or if you're a man or woman, how valuable the sacral chakra is for creation. And so, you know, it's really important for all of us to start releasing the shame, blame, all of those different things. And it starts with just speaking up. And I love how you had said that earlier, Dasha, about it's important if you're having issues with your partner, or if you don't have a partner and you just have issues with sex in general, it's important to talk about it, because again, the matrix programming, religion, the distortion of sex in advertising, all of this stuff has us very confused. And if you can talk in a sacred space with people who have done the work or are doing the work, it makes it a lot less confusing and allows for a breath of fresh air. And breathing is actually a really important part of the womb chakra. And I think you're a little bit of an expert on this, Dasha, as you've been to these breath work.
Yes. So breathing really allows to come back to the body. And it's like doing ayahuasca. When you're doing breath work for 45 minutes, I mean, you're getting visions, you're crying, you're screaming, you're letting out blockages out of the body. And I recommend one of these events, and I'll be putting one up soon, just a breath work event and then intimacy combined together, because once you have gone through an event like this with your partner or by yourself, you realize the importance of breath, but you also become tuned in. When you go to an event, it transforms you, and then you become slightly different. So then your interactions later, for example, sexual interactions, you recollect. It's like in your DNA, you recollect this breath and you start breathing the same pattern. So you can reignite it, just like you can reignite your ayahuasca experience in different, in meditation or in different forms. You can reignite that experience that you previously had. With breathwork, the same thing. You can reignite it while you're having sex, and now it becomes sacred. You're more tuned in, tapped into who you really are, because the breath helps while you're having sex. And I feel like the transformational journey is a self journey. Sexual conscious partner will appear when you're ready and you fully love yourself. Then you will attract somebody who really loves themselves as well. And now you have sacred, conscious, transformational, sensual experience, and not just sex. So it is really a solo journey. And the last step is getting that pleasure and ecstasy of somebody who's also done the work, also love themselves.
So Masha just said, I love how the convo changed from sex to breath work. I can relate more.
It goes hand in hand.
Well, and I think it also speaks to the stigma of sex in our society in general, how it feels kind of more dirty, I guess, because it's, you know, it has all this connotation to it. But I love too how, you know, if you think about it, like it is the breath work. I mean, sex is a massage. That's all it is. It is an internal massage. That's all, guys. That's the magic. That's the magic.
It's an internal massage of releasing and letting go and surrendering and being at peace. I love that.
And breathing and so you create a sacred container of love and breathing and massage, and you can massage, you know, like through the like the shoulders, like the touch, like it is just it's just a massage, a loving embrace. It's an embrace, a love. I love when those like, yep.
Sex is not intercourse. Sex is everything. Sex is having somebody sensually touch you, whether men on men, men on women, women on women, somebody sensually touch you and you letting it go through your whole body at the state of ecstasy by allowing that touch to come through you. That's what sex is. It's just, it doesn't have to be penetration.
Yeah, and penetration is just also, like I mentioned, like a massage, and it's meant to not be like hard. It's not meant to be like crazy. It's you know, that's all the human, like, you know, negative emotions that's trying to dominate and control. So I think it's good to think about, like, you know, when we talk about sex, like, what is it that you're trying to transmit to someone else? Are you trying to give them love? Are you trying to dominate them?
Because when you love somebody, you care about their body and their surrendering and their letting go of the mind. So you would take your time, because that is all out of love, coming from a place of, I want you to relax enough to be able to let go of whatever is happening. It's just a massage.
So Masha has a great question, as always. She's thinking of saving herself for marriage now. So what do we think?
I have a question back for you, Mosh. How do you feel about getting massages? And I know that it might take her a minute to respond, but how do you feel about just like letting go and just feeling the good feeling when you get a massage, if you get massages? Because ultimately it is really the same thing. It's just relaxing.
Only if it's female.
So there is something you have to work out there between men, because I only like to get massages from men.
Well, so marriage is an artificial construct. I mean, I subscribe to it, you know, because I see it as a legal commitment that allows my husband and I to file taxes together, and you know, we're now in our own business with a son, so it makes legal things a lot easier. So I think in general, like, I think sex before marriage means that, okay, like no intimacy until like we sign this legal document, and then you have to untangle all that. So how do you know your partner is good or not? So you know, it is a personal choice, and I think it's really important to, when you engage with someone, to have these conversations like, hey, I don't know if I want to engage until you fully commit to me. You know, and what does that mean? What does commitment mean? We're going to see how this goes, see how our personalities are aligned. I think it's really good to not, like, you know, engage in sex with a lot of people, especially when done unconsciously, because when that happens, we are giving parts of our DNA to other people, and we're connecting these ties to a lot of different people psychically. So, I mean, I think that's smart not to just, you know, just give it without intention or without a sacred container.
Yeah. So Mash, it is sacred in a way that I feel like sex, the definition of sex is not about the other person. It's about the self. And when you feel ready, and if you feel like this is your tool of transformation, because sex is a sacred tool of letting go, of reunion with God. And for some people, that is not the tool. For some people, it's meditation. For some people, it is breath work. For some people, it's mirror work. For some people, it's medicine work. All of these are tools under the same umbrella of coming back to the self, reunion with the God self, reminding ourselves who we truly are. So sex is not about the other person. It's about ourselves and coming back into our body to be able to relax enough to reunite ourselves with ourselves again. To let go of all of the chatter over here and just feel ourselves in the body. Feel this heart beating. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, Marissa has a great question, but I just want to just share what Masha had said. You guys said it's sacred, sacred union with God. So yes, that is very true. And it definitely is something to think about when you're engaging is, you know, does the other person I'm engaging with also feel the same way I feel about this act? Because then, you know, if you want it to be a closed loop system between you and God, then that's a conversation to have.
Right.
And if the other person's like, no, I'm open and I'm gonna, you know, I see it as just a fun free for all, then that's cool too. But then you know what you're getting yourself into. That's an open system with a lot of psychic baggage.
Yeah, intention. It's all about intention. And if the intention before the practice is communicated, like, I want to get closer to God, I want to get closer to myself, I want to be more comfortable in my shoes, and that's communicated to your partner, and your partner's on the same vibration, then here you go. Or if not, then at least you know that you and your partner are doing this for different reasons.
Oh, Marissa had a great question. So currently in her world, she's figuring out how to address sexuality with teens, how to be real, yet not overuse fear of pregnancy as a deterrent, recognizing cords, yet we can cut cords. I think this is a great question because I remember, and Dasha and I started with saying as teens, like this was a very taboo subject. And so I think teens are, you know, they're not fully developed in the brain yet. So it's really hard for them to understand from a rational perspective. They're still kind of dealing with all the different emotions. But I think one way to talk with teens is to maybe have like a whole bunch of us like be in the room with a whole bunch of teenagers and just be open with them and be like, hey, we've had plenty of experience. We were teenagers. How can we help you, the next generation, understand this better and not make the same mistakes we did?
I have another idea just to add to that. And thank you, Marissa, for joining us. We love you, honey, so much. And you're a wonderful mom. You're a really great mom. I think that the key is education, because I think every individual is going to decide and make their own decisions, regardless of what we want them to do. Even when we're a mom, yeah, we want the best for our child, but our child is still its own separate entity that's going to decide on their own how and why they want to do things and process on their own. So I think education is just like printing out and giving all of this information about, you know, chances of pregnancy, what happens next, all the different contraceptives, you know, how when I used to go to Planned Parenthood, they would explain all the different contraceptives, because that's the key, to just give as much information as possible to that individual that's practicing or about to practice, because the individual is going to make their own decisions, but at least they will have all of the tools, all of the knowledge passed along from you, because you have a lot more knowledge about it, and all the facts, so they can do it in a way that they feel is smart for them, because they know the facts, because you've shared and showed, and maybe you can take her to Planned Parenthood or whatever. As long as you allow that space for her to learn, just give her all the facts. There's nothing good or bad, there's just facts, and then allow for her to share. Just be like, okay, like, but subjectively, because you're just the mirror for her.
Yeah. So Marissa's saying, so right now, would you recommend condoms, or would you present a safe, what would you present as safe sex?
What I would do is all of the things that they present in Planned Parenthood, and you can even take her to Planned Parenthood, and you know, it's free of charge. You just let them know, you know, you need assistance. I've always been doing it, and they explain every single one of the methods there. And what I would do is explain to her, either myself or at Planned Parenthood, go with her together, and have all of the methods be laid out in front of her, so she can make her own wise decision. Because condom is just it's one of the methods, but there's like 5 other ones. And there's also, I just got a link from a friend, a safe, natural, all 100% made by this lady contraceptive that is not on the market. So if you want access to that, I can also forward that. I just got that from my friend, my amazing friend Om, and he said that this lady makes these things for people.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have like condoms for sure for kids, just because, not kids, teenagers, just because, like, you know, I mean, that is a part of exploration, and it's smarter to not like to assume that they're going to do it versus not, and then give, like Dasha said, all the resources. I do think it's important for the older generation to have, like, you know, maybe fireside chat or something like that, where they can ask questions with, like, you know, people that they respect, because, you know, there's a lot to it than just information. There's also real experience. So there's that as well. Not sure.
I saw Marissa's comment. Like, what I would do is, I'm obviously going to share this holistic approach in the chat, but just allow your girl to know everything, because what you're choosing for her is basically not your choice, because she will choose for herself eventually. And I think that just presenting all these things, and her knowing the facts of how good, how bad it is for the body, the hormones, this education about it, because she's going to decide on her own. And obviously you present all the options and she's going to choose one, as long as she knows the options, I feel like. But I will share below this and inside the event the information of the lady for the holistic stuff, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we didn't have any holistic stuff growing up. It was all the rubber condoms and such like that.
Well, the reason why, but Marissa, the reason why I say just share with her everything, because otherwise you're like withholding some information, which we all need to learn and educate ourselves. Because my mom like didn't share anything. I had to discover everything on my own. But hence she shared, I would have been more educated on it, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like the previous generation just didn't want to talk about it and was like, no, and the answer is no, 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 no. So what's different about now is that it's not just no, it's like, let's have a conversation about it. And then also figuring out how to figure it out. The copper IUD is non-hormonal but intrusive. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the copper IUD. I'm not in favor of any mechanism going into a child, a teenager, or even adult, because that's really, really invasive. Yeah.
But Marissa, this isn't your conflict to deal with. You give all of the options to your daughter because you are her mirror. You're not her decision maker. You give her all the options and educate her on everything, and she will decide on her own. You can't control the kind of decisions she's going to make, because she's an individual being.
Yeah. Yeah, letting everyone know the options.
Yeah, but I understand you're a worried mama.
Oh yeah, I mean, oh, teenagers are so difficult. It's so difficult. You know, I'm going to do some research too to see if there's any good YouTube channels for kids, talking to kids. And I call kids, but they're teenagers, they're young adults, they're ready to go into the world. Teenagers.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is to let the teenagers speak and be the mirror and not try to influence per se, because, you know, we're all individual souls and we need to be the mirror for our little ones and accept everything that they want to go through as their own personal journey, because we hold the container, we hold them the space to be able to go down their own path. So I think holding that container, that sacred space to speak freely and express for the child is the most important thing, because then they don't feel like it's taboo and they don't feel like it's an uncomfortable topic, and they'll be able to come to you with whatever questions, concerns they have later if you open that container and it's always open and it's not influenced by any kind of judgments and preconceived notions. Oh, one last thing I wanted to share.
Oh yeah.
Last night, when I went on a journey after having the experience, that's when I had the realization that I was at a complete state of peace, and it happened through sex. So it's any avenue that we choose, any tool that we choose, we can get to where we want to go if our intention is there. If the definition of the practice is what we want it to be. Like if we say, for example, my definition of sex has changed to having peace within myself, to get closer to me, to allow myself to release, let go, surrender, and be fully present in the moment. And this is exactly where I'm getting, because that was my intention set forth for my practices now.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna close up for today. Dasha has to run to yoga, and you know, she got to get her breath work in.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm Nina is at our house, and I'm sitting right outside of a 24-hour fitness, because I'm in my van. You guys know. So look at us living different lives.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So next time, new topic. Thank you everyone for joining. Really great questions. Thank you all for participating. We love you so much, and we'll chat soon.
Thank you so much. We love you. Namaste.